quick little announcement, as per usual. This basically happens every time now. May as well, anyways. Um, and it's not about the Discord, but people have said, uh, asked me if I would do a chapter 100 live reading, in like the VC, in the Discord, obviously, something like that. And like, I don't hate the idea, but the issue is that like I could I would either have to mute everybody, that way I can have clean audio for the audiobook, and also just so that I could read without having a bunch of people talking, and that would just make things harder. But like then I don't get to interact with people, and at that point it may as well not even be a live reading. So I thought, what if I had a little bit of compromise, and I did a live stream on YouTube, which would be the first live stream of the channel. It would also be the first live stream I've ever done, so that would be interesting. Um, I don't know. Let me know what you think, because then I could interact with the chat. I assume I could read chat maybe occasionally, maybe at the end of the chapter, whatever chat. When I finish a chapter, I can look over. What do you guys think? Pogs in chat, shit like that. Um, Also, right, the 50 chapter quiz is coming up. If you have questions, do leave them in the Discord. But if you feel like leaving them, and if they're really good questions, leave them in the comment section if you want. So yeah. Anyways, let's do some reading. Chapter 95: The History of the Tutors. Tutors. It starts. It starts with me, Vri, Lincoln, and Linka, Lainey, Lana, and Lola, and Penny watching TV in the living room. We were watching one of my favorite shows, Hysteria, and the episode was The Terrible Tutors. Are we gonna go to the simulator act after this? It feels like a simulator episode, but instead of doing the simulator, they just watch whatever cartoon or anime or what have you that they want to insert themselves into. This is a cool show, but it's making fun of the world's history, says Lainey. Well, I for one believe world history to be boring as balls. So if they can make it, if they can make it a little bit more interesting, whatever. That's how the show was made, I say. The Tudor dynasty was the most complicated empire in all of England and in the world, says Veri. I find it to be an unusual dynasty, but I would never be like Henry VIII. Okay, says Lola. He was a terrible king, that's for sure, says Lana. The Tudor dynasty was probably the worst dynasty in the history of the world. Yeah, maybe. I don't. Who would know that? Well, JD, of course. Stupid question. It started after the War of the Roses ended and Henry VII married Elizabeth of York in 1485. They gave birth to New York. Ha ha ha. They gave birth to Henry VIII in 1491 and he became king in 1509. Huh. At 18 years old. Okay. He married his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. Mary the First was born in 1516. I'm getting a whole ass history lesson here. Yeah, from what I remember, the king could not accept a girl getting the throne, says Laney. That is an outrage, says Lola. Yeah. Yeah, Henry VIII was a mean king. Well, yeah, him and everyone else who probably thought that women weren't fit for roles of power and stuff like that. But hey, obviously because he's the most uh, well documented of the people, he gets all the ire. Ire. Is that who cares? Henry VIII was a mean king. I mean, granted, he was bad. All right. I feel like you should be more mad that he killed a bunch of his wives, and less mad about the fact that he, among, I would assume, a large majority, believed that women were not fit for leadership. Anywho, he was a mean king. Yes, he was. In 1527, he went to see Pope Clement. What are we doing, dude? Can we, go back? Hell, I'd take another Naruto chapter that, I mean, I would I? Yes, I would. History's boring to me, at least. Except the wars. The wars are interesting. Maybe we'll get another world war. That'll be fun. He went to see Pope Clement the Seventh to see if he can grant a divorce, but he refused, and Henry VIII started his own church, and the divorce went through. He married Anne Boleyn in 1533, and she had a daughter, Elizabeth I, and she was investigated for high treason. She was beheaded 4 days later. Modern historians today ruled the charges today as unconvincing and unjust. Aw, nuts. Hey, how about you hop in the simulator, go back in time, and do something about it? Like, you know how you straight up can, you know? Okay, sorry. I've got a little coaster for my drink, and I guess the water pooling at the bottom from all the condensation or whatever made it stick to the cup when I lifted it up. That's terrible. Anne Boleyn was beautiful, says Lola. Okay. And also, she was probably a decent human being, but I guess it's focused on the beauty. Yeah, I say, she sure was, right, Rufus? Asks Penny, who I'm sorry to say I've forgotten. I agree with you, Penny, says Rufus. Rufus is Penny's cat. Oh, okay. Why would Henry the Eighth accuse her of that? Asks Lincoln. Henry the Eighth was a sociopathic king back then, and he literally abused his power and forced the whole country of England to abandon their religion, and it's why he made his own church. Good thing people in power don't abuse it anymore. Anyways, he wed Jane Seymour in 1536, and she had King Edward the. Wow, I'm blanking on this. Wait, yeah, the sixth. Yes, obviously the sixth, because if the I is before the V, it's four. Edward the Sixth in 1537. She died shortly after giving birth, and Henry the Eighth grieved and ate until he was overweight. Okay. That is sick and disgusting, says Ninka. Well, actually, out of everything so far, that appears to be the most humane and reasonable thing he's done. Grieving, like, I mean, obviously it's because he probably loved her more since she gave him a king, a prince. But, still, grieving and then, eating your feelings. Wow, Henry, you're sick. I mean, he deserves it, but I don't know. It's whatever. That is That oh right, that is, says Varie, I guess in an agreeing way. He should have had more class. He should have. Okay, but now, okay, no. You see, now they're criticizing him because, oh, how could a king eat until he's overweight? You do funny things when your like wife dies, the one you cared about, granted, but whatever. Yeah, later in January of 1540, he married Anne of Cleves from Germany, but the marriage was annulled, 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 sure, in July the same year. I say, that didn't last long, huh? Asks Lana. No, it didn't, answers Laney. That is a very short marriage, observes Penny. Yes, Penny. Yes, it was. It was because Henry VIII said so. Says Fourie. Yep, Henry VIII married the fifth wife, Catherine Howard, but in 1542 he found out that she was cheating on him, and adultery was the same as high treason back then, and he had her beheaded. That dirtbag woman? Now they're on his side? That dirtbag woman, says Lola. Yeah, says Marie. How could she? Exclaims Penny. How could she? These people can't make up their damn mind. Is Henry VIII some awful guy who killed and it was just a bad king all around? Because, like, frankly, if I knew that if I was one of his wives and I knew about the kind of woman, the kind of man Henry VIII was, I wouldn't feel bad about cheating. And if people, I certainly don't think she's a terrible person for cheating on, an evil king like Henry VIII. But what do I know? I guess adultery. I mean, they don't even like acknowledge how she got fucking killed for cheating. As if that's not, oops, if that's, as if that's not like a complete and total overreaction. I guess really, in JD's eyes, adultery is the worst thing. It's worse than beheading your wives. You know, whatever, man. Whatever. I'm sure there's some underlying psychology there. JD thinks adultery is the worst crime in the world. Loves having polygamous harems. Something, I don't know. I'm sure somebody smarter could make some connection there. That dirtbag woman. How could she? So in 1543, he married his sixth wife, Catherine Parr. Oh my God, this is just going to be a history lesson, isn't it? She made it all the way to when Henry VIII died on January 28th, 1547. Lucy appeared. That's right. We jump at her appearing at a spooky organ play, says Lucy. Hey, Lucy, says Lincoln. Hey, Lincoln, says, I was listening to you all talk about King Henry VIII, says Lucy. It's really interesting learning about the history of England, says Lola. Henry VIII is in the netherworld and is burning as we speak. The spirits told me, says Lucy. Thank you. I'm glad she showed up so that she could say that, so that we know that Henry VIII is getting what he deserves, that horrible monster. Mind you, it's been hundreds of years, and he's been apparently suffering that whole time, I assume, right? Immortal soul and all that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're about to see it. But hey, I'm sure he deserves every minute of it. Let's see, I say, chanting an incantation. Zertumnicta, hextiganta, mortium spiritasta. Fire crept over the floor and converged by the tree and formed a viewing window that showed us by the tree? Weren't are they not inside? Whatever. And formed a viewing window that showed us that Henry VIII is indeed in the netherworld, being boiled alive in the river of blood. That doesn't seem that bad. I feel like you'd get numb to it after a while. Oops, there goes my battery or whatever that was. Hold on. Wicked, says Lucy. That's him, all right, says Marie, apparently knowing and intimately what King Henry VIII looks like. I'm sure there are no noticeable differences between his royal paintings and what he actually looks like. Because keep in mind, we did not have picture cameras back then. Wicked, says Lucy. That's him, all right, says Marie. Lola and Lana were hugging each other and shaking in fear. That is so scary, says Lana. Yeah, but I'm glad that he's in the netherworld, says Lola. Henry VIII doesn't deserve to go to heaven. He was a monster, says Lainey. Yeah, but you know who deserves to go to heaven less? Catherine Howard, that cheating. That feels a little too mean. That cheating witch. We'll call her a witch. She deserves to be in the deepest, darkest depths of hell. Okay, where was I? You said it, Lainey, says Linka. I agree, says Lincoln. That's right, says Lucy. The window closed and it vanished. Sorry, I scared you guys, I say. That's all right, JD. Yeah, says Lana. Next time, will you warn us? Asks Lola. You had plenty of warning. Also, you just could have not looked through the window, numbnuts. I will. Oh, God, but the Tudor dynasty was not finished then. Edward VI became king after his father died. He was only 10 years old when he took the throne. He was not the youngest king in the history of the world, but he was one of them. He died of a bad disease. A bad disease? Sure he didn't die from a good disease? Back in 1552 at age 15. He was followed by Lady Jane Grey, who was also known as 9 Days Jane because her reign as queen only lasted 9 days. No, I'm fine. She was deposed as queen, and in 1554 she was executed for high treason. That happens a lot, I guess. I say, that's terrible, says Laney. Yeah, her reign as queen is the shortest reign in the history of the world. Mary the First was made queen in 1553, and she gave the Catholic religion back to England. She died, however, in 1558. She was followed by Elizabeth the First, and Elizabeth made England one of the greatest nations in the world. She was a very famous queen. The Tudor dynasty came to an end in 1603. It became one of England's most famous and influential families in the country and all of Europe. I say, that is amazing, but I can't believe that Henry VIII was that bad, says Lincoln. I guess we'll go back to this. Me neither, says Linka. Gabriella came in. She's British. She'll tell us all about this because she knows everything about Britain because that's what British people are like. Like, dude, I could hardly tell you anything about Well, I guess I could tell you the main parts of America, which, oh, big shocker, that's where I live. Hey, I know it's important not to really reveal too much information online, but if you can genuinely find out where I am because I said I live in America, you deserve to, I don't know, kidnap me and eat my eyes or whatever crazy people do. I can't believe it either. I may be from England, but if I were queen, I would never abuse my power like that, says Gabriella. Yep, nobody on Team Loud Phoenix Storm has ever abused their power. I agree. I agree, Gabriella. Are you by any chance a descendant of any member of the Tudor family? Oh, I wonder, is she? Yes, I am. Oh, big shock. I am a direct descendant of Mary Tudor, the youngest daughter of Elizabeth of York, says Gabriella. That's a big ancestry. She was the third wife of King Louis the 12th of France, and she married Charles Brandon, the first Duke of Suffolk, and she was also the grandmother of Lady Jane Grey. I say, that's right, says Gabriella. I didn't know you had some royal ties, Gabriella. Yes, and I'm part Cherokee. And my great great grandfather or whatever came in on the Mayflower or some bull. Anybody know what that's from? The Cherokee thing? I'm sure somebody knows. It's pretty, whatever. I didn't know you had some royal ties. Me neither. Lisa did a DNA test and helped me find out. I am from England. Oh, but I also have a family tree that dates back to Mary Tudor, says Gabriella. Wow, says Marie. That's incredible, says Lainey. I find all this to be very interesting, says Lucy. Me too. We all have quite an interesting heritage, says Lainey. Yep. Yeah, Lisa showed that I'm 1/5 friggin' Norwegian, and that's why the Norwegian god of goat milk has given me my goat milk powers, and now I can milk any goat in a 50-mile radius with my mind. Some bullshit like that. We too find out. Yep, it's fascinating to wait. Me too. We all have quite an interesting heritage, says Laney. Yep, it's a fascinating thing to learn about. I say. I agree, says Lincoln. The screen irised in. That's it. That's really that's the chapter. A little history lesson. I guess that's what it says, doesn't it? The history of the Tudors. And here I was thinking, the hell, man. You know, just what I love, right? You know, history has always been my least favorite subject. So frankly, every chance I can take to avoid it, I will. But hey, whatever. I'm just glad that it managed to whatever. I mean, at least it was a short one. I wanted to do a history themed chapter. One of my favorite events was the Tudor dynasty's reign from 1485 to 1603. I like learning about all sorts of events throughout all of history. Let me know what you all think. Loved it. Seriously, this is the one I loved the most. I promise. See you all next time. Hysteria is owned by Warner Bros. Studios and Tom Ruger. Chapter 96: Bird Humans and Tech Powers. Sounds like someone's gonna get their powers, maybe. It starts with Vanzilla 2.0 going down the highway. We're almost there, guys, says Lynn Sr. Me, Furi, Eileen, Eddie, Naruto, Sakura, Fu, and Hanada, and the Loud Kids are on our way to Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, and it's gonna be awesome, I say to the viewers. I know. We're gonna check out all the geysers and everything in the park, it says Lincoln. Hmm. Uh, am I having a stroke? I hope we all get to see Old Faithful blow. That would be awesome, says Furry. No, I need to know real quick. Am I losing my mind here? Am I losing my mind? What is it? No, wait. I must be losing my mind. Maybe it's in the next one. Okay, no, they're going to Grand Venture State Park in this one. Okay, so it's just weird though, right? Because there's also something with Geyser. Yeah, Geyser. So I guess just another chapter where everyone's going to a park to see a geyser. Sorry for that little tangent. Tech powers. What was I? Yeah, I hope we all get to see Old Faithful blow. That would be awesome, says Rui. You are. I can just say, I can tell you right now, you are. You know, Old Faithful knows that JD and the gang are coming, and he wouldn't want to. He wouldn't want to not perform when someone as awesome as JD. You know, even Old Faithful, the literally non-sentient geyser, has heard about JD and his wealth and his defeat of the Black Daffodil Gang. Somehow, crazily, the thing he's known most for. I don't get it. I feel like he's done a million things, but realistically, most of those things have probably been in the simulator. So I guess the Kanker sisters apparently, they destroyed an entire city, but nobody seems to remember what they did. Whatever. I've heard that it erupts every 64 minutes, says Eileen. I wonder if that's true. Yellowstone is a big supervolcano that's scheduled to erupt in the future. It's been 640,000 years since it last erupted, says Lisa. That's what I've seen and read in science documentaries. I heard that if it blows, it will plunge the world into the next ice age. I say, is that true? I don't care. I believe it, says, believe it. I believe it, says Eileen. That's not going to happen for a while yet, right? asks Lola. Probably not for another few thousand years, says Naruto. And by then it'll be, someone else's problem. That's the ultimate, right? That's the human condition. Would you rather fix a problem now or just wait for somebody else to fix it down the road? It's the human condition. Like in a thousand years, says Naruto. Yeah, let's hope it doesn't erupt now, says Sakura. Yeah, that'd be strange. Somehow, though, I feel like something's got to happen. I hope something happens. I hope there's conflict. All right, that at least keeps me engaged instead of just like watching these filler chapters where it's all filler. It's 2,000 plus chapters of filler. Whatever. 2,300. Uh, let's hope it doesn't erupt now. If it did, we would be in serious trouble, I say. No, we wouldn't. Because JD has secret volcano stopping powers that he's had the entire time. My foot's falling asleep. See, I'm sitting crisscross. Applesauce as well. I can't believe I used to eat applesauce, that it was genuine baby food. I mean, granted, I was young. This is not important. I heard the mud pits are awesome, says Nana. For you, maybe, but they're too hot, says Lola. I've never been to Yellowstone. This is going to be fun, says Lily. And I can't wait to see Pop-Pop, says Lenny. They're doing the same joke. I just checked. They're doing the same joke. Lenny, your grandpa's not going to be here, I say. He's right, dudes. It's a geyser field, says Luna. This is going to be cool. They don't even, explain it. Maybe that's because granted, if ever there was something to explain, it would be a reoccurring joke that's happened only once prior, you know, roughly 90 something chapters ago. Wait, 96? Wait. No, it happened in chapter 7. Damn. 89 chapters then. But that's the kind of thing that you should take time to explain, JD, James. Because even if people don't remember it, it could still be new to people. Whatever. It's unimportant. Mountains out of molehills. Geysers out of smaller geysers. Anyways, and I've gone. This is going to be cool. I can't wait to throw some rocks in the geysers, says Lynn. I don't think they'll allow you to do that, Lynn, says Fu. I agree with Fu, says Hanada. This is going to be fun. I remember the last trip was very fortunate. This is going to be fun. I remember the last trip was very fortunate. A pun! Everyone, a pun. And not just that, but a callback pun. Granted, it goes back to what I was saying about how it's very unlikely people remember, 89 chapters ago, But for those of you who do remember Chapter 7 Raw Deal, Lucy's whole thing was that she told a bunch of fortunes of everybody, and they all came true. And so, Luann making the joke, oh, the last trip was very fortunate. It's an actual joke. I can't even believe it. It was raining earlier. I hardly noticed. Well, they're getting better. Well, they're still not funny. I don't think they ever will be, but at least they qualify for jokes now. Rimshot laughs, ha ha ha. Mivri, Aline, Eddie, Gabriella, Naruto, and Sakura laughed, and the others sighed. Ha 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 ha, good one, says Lin Sr. Ha 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 ha, good one, Luann, says Eddie. Thank you for taking us to Yellowstone, Mr. Lin. I say. No problem, JD. I'd much rather drive across the country rather than let you use your teleportation, super speed, simulator, all the other methods. Hell, I'm sure there's a slide attached to JD's room that takes him straight to Yellowstone. It's probably it's probably a yellow slide. Whatever. You're welcome, JD. Have you ever been here before? Asks Lynn Sr. Back when I was 8. This is my second time, I say. That's cool, JD. You'll have to show us around, says Gabriella in her British accent. I don't know this whole park like the back of my hand, but I've seen most of it with my parents, I say. This is going to be a blast. I've always wanted to go to Yellowstone. The geysers and the scenery are supposed to be beautiful, says Laney. It is, but the sulfur smell all over the park is rank, I say. I heard it smells like rotten eggs, says Nika. Ew, says everyone but Lana. Cool, says Lana. We're here, everyone, says then Senior. We park and get out. We've arrived at the admission desk. Paid for our visit and went in. We saw lots of people in front of Old Faithful, the most famous geyser in Yellowstone, and we all saw it erupt. Cool, frame one. It was an amazing sight, just like I remember. That is so cool, says Lori. It's just like I remember, I say. Amazing, says Vuri. It's just like I've seen in the picture, says Eileen. Amazing, dude, says Luna. This is so cool, says Eddie. We go around the park and saw lots of cool geysers. We saw Anemone geyser, Grotto geyser, Arum geyser, Castle geyser, Lion geyser, Beehive geyser, Sawmill geyser, and more. I don't know whatever. The geysers were so beautiful and breathtaking. We were all taking lots of pictures, selfies, and romantic photos, naturally, and buying lots of souvenirs and postcards. We arrived at the Midway Geyser Basin of Yellowstone, and we saw the largest spring in the park and the United States, the Grand Prismatic Spring. Sounds like a prime place to get some superpowers. Whoever needs them, I don't even know at this point. Lisa? Didn't Lisa just casually get revealed to have darkness powers during the Skylanders chapter though? Whatever. It wasn't like proper elemental choosing type shit, so maybe they don't count. It was truly a beautiful sight, and I had remembered it. Cool. This is so beautiful, I say, and I had remembered it. This has to be the largest pop-up I've ever seen, says Lenny. Hilarious. We facepalm. But then we hear a whoosh high above, and we saw a wormhole open up. And out came three girls. The strangest thing was that they had wings. Hell yeah, they're already fucking. They're coming pre-packaged with wings now, James. Don't even have to bother with giving them superpowers, you freak. I think my hand keeps brushing the mic when I go to sip my water. My water. My water. Shrimps on the barbie. We've got a code dimension jump. That's what. Yeah. Codes are meant to shorten it so that you don't have to explain what it is. But when you make the code basically an explanation of what's happening, it really defeats the purpose. Say a code, I don't know, a code fucking blue. Say blue. Why not? A code black for dimension jump. Wasn't it code brown for Lady Tsunada's temper tantrum? Why don't you call it code temper tantrum? Code Lady Sonata temper tantrum. Whatever. We have a code dimension jump. Vuri, Eileen, Laney, come with me. I spread my black wings. Vuri spread her water wings. Eileen spread her fire wings, and Laney spread her leaf wings, and we flew up to the girls and caught them as they were falling. And they instantly swoon. For JD, obviously. They're unconscious, but they're gonna be all right. I say, I see the wings on their backs. Incredible! I see the wings on their backs, and I pop a rager. These wings are real bird wings. Okay. I wonder how they got them, asks Vuri. Good question, says Eileen. As we were about to land, a gear appeared out of nowhere and flew to Lisa and it touched her. I can't believe it. The foreshadowing was immense. She was in a tornado of gears, sprockets, and springs. We landed at, she got her spring powers from the Grand Prismatic Spring. Though I believe there might be something a little lost in translation there. We landed and we saw Lisa in the tornado. We got another elemental choosing in progress, says Laney. Yeah, I say. When the tornado vanished, Lisa was on the ground and we saw that she has angel wings made of small gears. Why not just say robotic wings? Right? You know, why not say robotic wings instead of what I imagine is just a weird collection of gears that form the rough shape of wings? That's so dumb. Make them like if Tony Stark made wings for one of his Iron Man suits. That's what I would imagine. Stupid, dude. Stupid. We landed. Nope, wait. She got up. What just happened? I feel very strange. My back feels heavy, says Lisa. You've been given powers, Lisa, says Danny. Lisa saw the gear wings and gasped. I do have wings! A gear suddenly touched me. Jesus. Sorry, the sudden switch to first person made me think that JD was talking all of a sudden. And I thought, wait, is JD getting an elemental choosing? Like he needs one? Okay, anyways, I do have wings. A gear suddenly touched me, and I was in a tornado of gears and springs, says Lisa. A gear, huh? I'd look it up, but we got my hands full here. Amazing. I say, let's go back to the hotel so we can take a look, says the senior. Or, better yet, let's call an ambulance for these 3 unconscious girls that we just saw fall out of the sky. But hey, no, I'm sure no one's gonna question it when this group of people carry off a bunch of unconscious bird girls or whatever they are back to their hotel room. Because yeah, that that can only lead to good things. Whatever. Hotel, so we can take a look, says the senior. 1 hour later, we got to our room in a hotel on the border between Montana and Wyoming. We rented a penthouse suite. Yes, obviously. Don't never forget how rich James is. We placed the girls on the couch and I pulled out my book and looked it up. Here it is. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Lisa, you've been given the technokinetic powers by the gear of Hephaestus, the Greek god of blacksmiths, metalworking, carpenters, craftsmen, artisans, sculptors, and metallurgy. Once every 3,500 years, he grants his powers over all things buildable. Over all things buildable and more, but there's a catch. He can only grant these powers to someone who has an IQ greater than 230. Okay. I wonder if I would qualify. I've never taken an IQ test, but I'm pretty smart. At least a 500. Lisa, that's incredible, says Lincoln. Indeed, dear brother. This is quite an astounding change for me. I'll have to learn how to control my powers like you all have, says Lisa. Don't worry. We'll have it mastered next chapter. Our visitors are waking up, says Lana. Ugh, where am I? Asks question mark. What happened? Asks I assume a different question mark. I don't know, says a third question mark. We saved you from falling as you came out of a wormhole, I say. Oh, we appreciate that, says question mark nonchalantly. Oh god. It's an introduction thing. Every single character, the like 30 something characters is all gonna say, hi, I'm blah blah blah. Gotta prepare with a sip of water. Okay. We should introduce ourselves. I'm JD Nutson, I say. I'm Vuri Nutson, JD's fiance, says Vuri. I'm Eileen water. I'm Eileen Carter, says Eileen. My name is Eddie, says Eddie. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, says Naruto. Naruto is my adopted little brother I bring up for no reason. I'm Sakura Haruno, Says Sakura. I'm Fu. I don't have a last name, says Fu. I'm Hanada Hyuga, says Hanada. I'm Lin Loud Sr., and this is my wife, Rita, says Lin Sr. Hello, says Rita. These are our kids, says Lin Sr. Oh my god. I'm Loy Loud, the eldest. I'm 17 years old, says Loy. I'm Carol Loud. I'm adopted, says Carol. I'm Lenny Loud, the fashion designer. I'm 16 years old, says Lenny. I'm Luna Loud, the rock star. I'm 15 years old, says Luna. I'm Gabriella Elizabeth Loud, the adventurer. I'm adopted, says Gabriella. I'm Luann Loud, the jokester. I'm 14 years old, says Luann. I'm Lynn Loud Jr., the sports star. I'm 13 years old, says Lynn. I'm Shannon Gaz Loud, former member of the Black Daffodil Gang. I'm 12 years old, says Shannon. I'm Lincoln Loud, the only son. I'm 11 years old, says Lincoln. I'm Lincoln Loud, Lincoln's dimensional twin. I'm 11 too, says Lincoln. Linka, my bad. I'm Lucy Loud, the vampire goth poet. I'm 8 years old, says Lucy. I'm Laney Loud, the bookworm and gardener. I'm 7 years old, says Laney. I'm Lana Loud, and the tomboy twin. I'm 6 years old, says Lana. You can't be a what? Oh, right. I thought Lana was saying she was the twin of Laney. I'm Lola Loud, the beauty pageant twin. I'm 6 years old too, says Lola. I'm Penny Loud. I'm adopted. I'm 5 years old, says Penny. I'm Lisa Loud, the scientist. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm 4 years old, says Lisa. And I'm Lily Loud. I'm 15 months old, but because of special circumstances, I look like I'm 10, says Lily. And that's just the Loud Kids. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm Maximum Ride. Call me Max. I'm the leader of the flock. Okay. I don't know what this is from. Maximum Ride. I'm listening to Deltarune music right now, and it's kicking ass. It helped me get through this part, that part. Okay, I'm Maximum. I'm Nudge, says Nudge, and I'm Angel, the youngest of the flock, says Angel. The flock, that's a cool name. It's all right. I say yes, says Mac. Your wings are very beautiful, says Free. Thanks, Free, says Angel. We got our wings because of a government experiment, says Nudge. Government experiment? Asks Eileen. What happened? Asks Sakura. There were 6 of us, and we were part of a project called. There's a little bit of hair on my mic. There we go. The Angel Experiment. We were in a facility called the School. They spliced out DNA with bird DNA, which I assume is supposed to be our DNA. We are now 98% human and 2% bird, and that gives you a pair of bird wings. You do realize that chances are humans already share a decent amount of DNA with birds. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's like we share 50% of our DNA with bananas. Or some fruit or vegetable. I don't remember exactly. So, all things considered, it wouldn't be impossible to believe that all humans should have bird wings. But hey, what do I know? Maybe I'm shitting on somebody's favorite show, whatever the flock is from. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. That is insane. Nuts, I need to plug that in. That is insane. These people are playing with fire. You mess around with Mother Nature, and there will be horrible consequences. Yeah. Mess around with Mother Nature, and her beautiful rock formations might be destroyed. Hold on. Okay, that took like 1 second. I say, yes, the purpose of the school is to create powerful mutants for world domination, says Max. We all gasp. World domination? That's madness, says Marie. Yeah, if you want world domination, just like join Team Loud. Yes, but we did not want to be part of such a plan, says Angel, so we escaped, says Nudge. That's good, says Eileen. Being used like that is a fate worse than death, says Laney. That's right, Laney. The world we lived in was not a pleasant place to call home. It was a post-apocalyptic nightmare. Our world was hit by a meteor, and humanity had to rebuild everything from the ground up. We were in the school 500 years after that event. We just spent our entire lives running and fighting the mutants of the school. And then you. Okay, whatever, says Max. That's horrible, I say. You guys have been through a horrific experience, says Lenny. That's like one of my friend Ed's zombie comics, says Eddie. Okay, in bad taste, I'd say, but whatever. That is awful, says Luann. No kidding, says Furry. You guys have been through something that would make my life look like child's play, says Fu. Yeah, says Naruto. It was a nightmare. We were fighting some wolf people, and we were knocked unconscious as Fang, Izzy, and Gazzy fought to protect us. Then we wound up here with you guys. says Max. You went through a wormhole from your dimension to ours, I say. A wormhole? Oh, wait, no, yeah. I'm explaining it to them. A wormhole? Asks Angel. It's a dimensional bridge that connects our dimension to yours. It sucked you three in and took you here, says Marie. Exactly, says Lisa. That's very complicated for me, says Nudge. It feels very, like, easy to comprehend, actually. I mean, like, to comprehend the actual, I don't know, scientific bullshit of wormholes, maybe, right? Maybe I'd be too confused, but the whole, oh yeah, I'm here because of a wormhole, whatever. Um, that is very complicated for me, says Nudge. It was complicated for most of us, says Eileen. Yeah, we saw a wormhole once, and it was an amazing sight, says Lori. It was weird and cool. You might say it was a dimensional wonder. Okay, not really a joke. Um, because I don't think there are too many dimensional, because if dimensional wonder was something that we said a lot of the times in modern society that also didn't apply to actual wormholes, then yes, it would be a pun. But we don't really use dimensional wonder that often. Luann. James. Rimshot. Ha ha ha. Get it? Asks Luann. Me, Veri, Eileen, Eddie, Naruto, Max, Nudge, and Angel, of course, the three new guys, laughed, and everyone else sighed. I'm glad they're in such good moods, considering, their awful, awful past and the fact that they, just abandoned the world. Not on purpose, mind you, but they have been taken from the world that apparently is going to be dominate. Without them to help stop it, there's a chance. I would assume that whoever's in charge manages to get that whole world domination thing to succeed. But hey, let's all laugh at Luann's non-joke. Ha ha ha! That was funny, says Max. Luann is really funny, I say. I can tell, says Angel. Yep, yep. But we still have to figure out how to get you back home. Right, yes. Mind you, okay? Don't forget, right? It's nearly impossible, quote unquote, to find people's home dimension after they've been taken through a wormhole. Except that one time, but we don't talk about it. Uh, I'm afraid that's going to be a big problem. There's an infinite number of dimensions in parallel universes across all of time and space, I say. Yeah, and finding the dimension is like trying to find a needle in the haystack, as big as the infinitely vast reaches of the cosmos, says Laney. Exactly, Laney, says Lisa. Linka is from a dimension where everyone in her family is the opposite gender, says Furi. Me, Sakura, Fu, Hanada, and my entire village are from a world where we are all the shinobi. That's a completely different story, though, Naruto. And hell, why don't you just pop into the simulator, type in blah 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 Max Nudge and the other one's world, and then teleport them into there? Because we all know that the simulator at this point is just a dimensional teleporter. I really feel like there's options, but we can't have that. We have to have the, I assume, very attractive bird ladies stay. I mean, they've got wings. You think JD's gonna give up the girls with wings who literally landed in his lap? My ass. My big ass. Okay. But we are definitely from the ninja but we are different from the ninjas of Japan, says Hanada. We also have Starfire, Raven, and Terra, who was sucked in through a wormhole from their dimension when Lincoln and Linka got their powers of lightning. Normal thing to say. I say? Jesse Bannon, or Banan, was also teleported to our dimension too, says Lincoln. That's very strange, and I guess we're stuck here. Says Max. Oh well, all those people that I left in my home dimension who might wind up dying because of that whole world domination plan. Uh, I hope they're alright. Anyways, James, JD, you look very attractive. You think they compare wing sizes? You know what they say about big wings? That's very strange. I'm afraid so, says Eileen. Well, I guess we'll have to adapt to it, says Max. Yeah, at least we're free from the school, says Nudge. Yeah, says Angel. We don't know where we'll live. But we don't know where we'll live, says Max. That's simple. You can stay with us, says Rita. Oh, who could have seen that coming? I'm just so deeply depressed. And I've got James Knudsen to blame for it. That's simple. You can stay with us, says Rita. Yeah, you guys have been through a lot, and you would be perfect for our family. Yep, we love adopting people with emotional baggage. Whatever. We all live in a super huge mansion in Royal Woods, Michigan. We have lots of room. Me, Viri, and my friends here are on vacation here in Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, I say. Thank you all so much, says Max. You're welcome, Max, says Viri. It's going to be cool having you in the family, says Lori. Totes, says Nenny. Rockin' dudes, says the Wan, making the rock on hand sign. Says, we still have 6 days before we head home, so let's have some fun, says the senior. Forget all those people who might die in your home dimension. Let's go look at some goddamn geysers for 6 days? What is there to do at Yellowstone? I've never been, so I don't know. Maybe maybe got rides, or maybe they've got just that many geysers. Not that I'm very much interested in. I feel like I could see a few of them, handful of them, and then I'd be done. I just gotta love how just nonsensical it all is. Like, why does Lisa get the gear power? Where did that come from? Why did Hephaestus do it now? Did it have anything to do with the wormhole, or are we just supposed to pretend like that's, yeah? Oh, how coincidental. Whatever. 6 days later, we drove home and arrived in 2 days. We got to our rooms and unpacked and put our dirty clothes in the wash. Well, I would assume so, but thanks for telling me. The next day, we go to the Royal Woods Mall and get Max, Nudge, and Angel some new clothes. Lisa made gash holes in them so they could sprout their wings out without tearing their clothes. Max, Nudge, and Angel were right at home, uh, and they go to Royal Woods Middle School and Royal Woods Elementary School. Okay, it was much better life for them. Okay, so you know how I was talking about how they're probably attractive? I should probably take that back, because apparently they are in middle and elementary school. Oops. Hey, don't. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know. God knows that won't stop James, though. Hey, Naruto, I know you're the victim of a pedophile, but wouldn't it be cool if you were a pedophile? And then just casually pushes whoever the youngest is into his harem. It'll happen eventually, one way or another. The end. Another fanfiction completed. I've been to Yellowstone National Park when I was 8, and it was so much fun. But the sulfur smell was horrible. It smells like rotten eggs. I also wanted to add Max, Nudge, and Angel from the book series Maximum Ride to my stories. I thought it would bring some excitement. Yeah, that's what these stories have been lacking. Excitement. Even if that was true, do you really think this is gonna fix it? I would have serious doubts that, oh yeah, the three bird girls are gonna really spice things up. I thought it would bring some excitement. Let me know what y'all think. Hated it. See you next time. Maximum Ride is owned by James Patterson. Chapter 97: Plants vs. Kakashi. That's a Naruto character. Good, good. Oh my god. I would confidently say that like a fifth of the chapters of the last 50 chapters have been Naruto chapters. I just because I know it's gonna happen. All right, I can pretty strongly guess at what's going to happen, but and that's the issue, isn't it? I'm tired of it. Whatever. Maybe it's got something to do with Plants vs Zombies, because Plants vs Kakashi kind of implies it. I like Plants vs Zombies. Then again, if I like it, I probably wouldn't want it to end up in the Loud House Revamped. Whatever. Laney's in the simulator doing an exercise. Okay, well that's probably why it's Plants vs Kakashi. Me, Vuri, Eileen, Max, Nudge, Angel, Naruto, Itachi, Saks. And here's the thing. Okay, I'm sorry to stop this soon, but James said at the end of the chapter, the last chapter, 96. Yes, 96. He added those three bird girls, Max, Nudge, and Angel, because he wanted to add excitement into his thing. But like, If excitement was what you were lacking, then chances are you would use them right away, wouldn't you? But no, no. First chapter that they're in completely, and they're just gonna be in the sidelines. You know, they'll probably say one or two things each if we're lucky. Really, oh yeah, really bring in the excitement, huh? Maybe they'll say something really awesome, and I'll instantly take it all back. Okay, Mivuri, Eileen, Max, Nudge, Angel, Naruto, Tachi, Sasuke, Sakura. Wait, Sasuke? Sasuke gets to watch? Sasuke doesn't ever get to do anything. We always forget about Sasuke. Weird. Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, Fu, Hanada, Rin, Kushina Young, Tsunada Young, never get used to that, Tayuya, Makare, the Loud Kids, Eddie, Kakashi, Suzune, and Lady Sonata were in the control room. The simulator activated, and Lady found herself in the hills outside of the town of Tanzaku Gai. It was on the day Lady Sonata went to Orochimaru for his offer. She saw Lady Sonata about to hand a ball of healing chakra to Orochimaru. Not on my watch, says Laney. This is so cool. Laney spread her wings and flew at him. Orochimaru was about to grab the ball of chakra when, without warning, he and Kabuto were both kicked in the face and sent flying, and they crashed into a huge rock with devastating force. What are you doing? Exclaimed Lady Sonata. Saving you from making a stupid mistake, says Laney. Orochimaru was about to bring my brother and my beloved back. I hope you're implying that those are two different people. Probably. No, he wasn't. Orochimaru would never uphold his end of the bargain. He would kill you after he got what he wanted. He's a worthless snake, pun intended. He deserves only one thing, and that is a one-way trip to the netherworld, says Laney. And Lady Sonata believes her instantly. You're right. Orochimaru is a traitor, and he will pay for killing Sarutobi-sensei, says Lady Sonata. I agree. Sorry, I'm Laney Loud. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lady Sonata, says Laney. Pleasure's all mine. I like your wings, naturally. They are beautiful. It's like you're an angel born from nature itself, says Lady Sonata. It kind of does feel that way, says Laney. Lady Sonata, don't do it, says Shizune. Shizune, Master Jiraiya, and Naruto arrived. I wonder what's gonna happen to Naruto. I wonder what's gonna happen to Naruto. I wonder what's gonna happen to Naruto. Then again, we don't know if Laney can just snap her fingers and undo his binding spells, seals, whatever there are. Um, it's alright, Shizune. Laney here stopped me, says Lady Sonata. It's good she did, says Jiraiya. Thank you, Laney, says Naruto. You're welcome, says Laney. Orochimaru and Kabuto got up, and they saw Laney standing by Lady Sonata, Jiraiya, Shizune, and Naruto. I don't know who you are, but you will pay for that, says Orochimaru. You're the one who's gonna pay, Orochimaru. I'm gonna get justice for all the lives you've destroyed and ruined. You seem to delight in seeing other people suffer, and you treat life like a disposable commodity. You destroy homes. You take the lives of so many innocent people. You even take the lives of children. Yeah, children that could much better be groomed into a harem. Naruto's harem. All this just to satisfy your own twisted goals and amusement. I don't know, man. I feel like it like you'd have to be just genuinely a evil person to kill kids for amusement. I'm so sure he does it for like a quote unquote good reason, a good villain reason. We shall see about that, little girl, says Orochimaru. Let's see how you like it when I unleash my full powers, says Lenny. Lenny stood ready. Then again, didn't Lenny go through one of those little training pod things, the Dragon Ball training chamber, time chamber? So maybe she did just, yeah, she learned them naturally. Lenny stood ready, and little pebbles started to lift off the ground, and her hair stood up and waved around. The area started shaking extremely violently as her energy levels were increasing dramatically. Green lightning flickered all around her body, and her eyes turned emerald green. Ha! says Lenny. Screams Laney. Then a blinding green light illuminated the area, and when it died down, Laney was forever changed. Forever. Great. Her she had her green aura flared up, and green lightning flickered around her. Her wings were now made entirely of leaves. Okay. Her hair was waving in spots and in spots, whatever. And it was emerald green, and her level of power and energy she had was completely mind-boggling. Incredible. Her chakra levels are mind-boggling, says Jiraiya. What a great use of that. Yeah, funny you should say that. She transformed and it's incredible, says Lady Sonata. What is she? Her power. It's amazing, says Shizune. Um, yeah, and it makes Orochimaru seem like nothing, says Jiraiya. Unbelievable, says Naruto. Believe it! But Naruto suddenly, oh, kill me, suddenly felt a massive energy increase from within him, and he was enveloped in a blinding white light, and a massive vortex of leaves swirled around him, and it went high into the sky at an incredible speed. Naruto's energy levels were skyrocketing at an astronomical rate. I'm losing my mind. The leaf vortex formed a dragon high above the planet, and it roared. All over the planet, the entire continent of the five great nations changed dramatically. Everything was completely covered in forests, jungles, and more. The energy affected lots of people. Anko felt her curse mark get destroyed. Sasuke woke up from the Tsukuyomi Genjutsu and his curse mark was forever gone. He was forever grateful to Naruto? Wait, so we're not gonna, rip Sasuke limb from limb? Okay. Hey, oh. Color me surprised. Kakashi woke up too and he was enraged at Naruto. Okay. When the leaf vortex vanished, Naruto was forever changed. He had green fox ears, green sleeveless battle gi, dark green Anbu pants, 9 green flaming fox tails, a strong muscular physique, naturally, and angel wings made entirely of leaves. Oh, wow. It's great. Hey, it's so much different. Because this time, he's not just superpowered Naruto, he's superpowered green Naruto with leaf powers, I guess. Fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah, that's what we've been missing. Every single Naruto chapter could have been excused if every time it was a different element. Fire Naruto, water Naruto, so on and so forth. Anyways, his headband was gone and he had a green dragon with a leaf emblazoned on his forehead, and his eyes were now green and slitted. Slitted? Whatever. Orochimaru, I will never forgive you for any of your crimes. Your time has come, says Naruto. Naruto, what? It's really just speed running, right? James's fantasy. Yeah, but it changes every single day, and every time it changes, he has to make a chapter about it. You know, like one day it's like, Naruto gets grass powers that also like travel the entire world and fix everyone's problems, and everybody loves Naruto for it. I should write that down. Stuff like that. Do it all the time. I should be reading. I should read. Or tomorrow I will never forgive you for any of your crimes. Your time has come, says Naruto. Naruto, what happened to you? Asks Jiraiya. Yeah, please do explain. What's different? I guess other than Lainey's. But that's probably it, isn't it? I'll explain later, Sensei. Great. Right now we have a snake freak to destroy, says Naruto. Let's get him, says Lainey. Orochimaru couldn't even use his jutsu. Naruto appeared and without warning, he punched Orochimaru in the stomach with devastating force and then he kicked him in the face. Lady Tsunade punched Orochimaru in the back with her super strength. I guess she has that. And Shizune slashed Orochimaru's legs with a kunai. Jiraiya blasted Orochimaru with a powerful fire-style jutsu. Orochimaru fell to the ground, badly burned. Kabuto rushed over to his aid. Hang on, Lord Orochimaru, says Kabuto. Naruto fired an energy blast and vaporized him completely. That's just awful, man. You know, that's so awful. Something about, like, Kabuto coming to help the person that, he's his friend, I guess. And then instantly just gone. Jeez, obviously Orochimaru is evil, but you know how horrifying that must be to see your one ally get instantly laser beamed as soon as he tries to come over and help you. It's unethical. That's the long short of it. Short of it, I guess, just the short of it. Whatever. Have a nice time in the netherworld, traitor. Now for you, Orochimaru. This is for all the pain and suffering you caused, says Naruto. The time has come for atonement, Orochimaru, says Lainey. Lainey cups her hands to her side. Yay, yay! Nature's vengeance, Kamehameha, says Lainey. She fires a green Kamehameha wave at Orochimaru, and it was causing all sorts of new trees and plants to grow as it sped toward Orochimaru. This can't be happening to me. I am the immortal Orochimaru. I am invincible, says Orochimaru. I hit Orochimaru head on. It hit Orochimaru head on and exploded with incredible power, and he was completely vaporized in an instant. The explosion turned into a massive tree that was 6,000 feet high and 20 miles wide at the base. How far away from him were you when you fired that? Whatever. Lainey and Naruto powered down. Orochimaru is now gone forever, says Naruto. I mean, yes, says Naruto. Yep, but look, says Lainey. Lainey leads them to the base of the tree, and she saw a face on it. That's Orochimaru. He is now cursed to be forever entombed in this tree for all eternity. Cool, yeah, awesome. That's intense, but good riddance, says Naruto. He sure got what he deserved big time, says Jiraiya. I'm glad, but you can all start calling me the Lady Hokage from now on, says Lady Tsunade. Yes, milady, tips Fedora. Let's all go home, says Lady Tsunade. As they were walking to the leaf, Naruto asked Jiraiya a question. Jiraiya-sensei, what was it like to train my old man? Asks Naruto. Weird thing to talk about. Jiraiya and Lady Tsunade were shocked. You know of your parents, Naruto? Asks Lady Tsunade. Yes, I do, milady, tips Hat. I met them in my subconscious when I was powering up. Cool. They told me what happened on the night I was born, how they met, their accomplishments, and their reasons for my heritage being hidden. They both made a huge number of enemies during the Third Great War, and it was all for my own protection. They encoded their chakra into the seal they put on me when I was. So that they would. Wait. Their chakra into the seal they put on me so that they would tell me. Okay? They told me that Orochimaru was the one that unleashed the nine-tailed fox onto the village that night. He was controlling it. Wow, says Naruto. Jiraiya, Lady Sonata, and Shizune gasped. Orochimaru was controlling the fox? Can we stop saying his name? I hate saying Orochimaru. Exclaimed Jiraiya. Yeah, says Naruto. Orochimaru is not just a monster. He is a devil, says Lainey. True to that, Lainey, says Naruto. I'm glad he's now gone forever. Training your dad was truly an amazing experience, kid. He was like a son to me, says Jiraiya. You two look You two were very close, Master Jiraiya, says Laney. We sure were, Laney. Wait, what's to stop Orochimaru from breaking out of that tree or having some of his followers break him out? Asks Jiraiya. That's completely impossible, Master Jiraiya. The tree is covered in a powerful magical energy that acts like an extremely powerful seal. Cool. The tree is now impervious to all attacks, great and small. And besides, Orochimaru is now dead, so he can't do anything, says Laney. Fantastic. Very, very immoral. Very clever. At least we never have to worry about Orochimaru ever again. Hey, can we say his name another 50 times before the chapter's over? That's true, says Shizune. They arrived at the leaf, and it was still the same. Lady Tsunade was made the fifth Hokage, and Lainey and Naruto went to the hospital to check on Sasuke. They entered Sasuke's room and saw that he was awake. Naruto! Exclaimed Sasuke. In like a non-angry way, I assume? In like a non-evil way? Sasuke, I'm glad you're alright, says Naruto. Me too. I can't hear Orochimaru anymore, says Sasuke. So it's so weird. It's so weird that James Knudsen seems to be capable of acknowledging that Sasuke is only bad in the source material, I assume, because of outside influence. But that doesn't stop him from making like 20 something chapters all about beating the hell out of Sasuke. Granted, he makes it so that this Sasuke is evil. He specifically says evil Sasuke, so that like we can assume that this isn't the Sasuke that's been manipulated into being evil, but is just genuinely evil. It just doesn't make sense. If he doesn't understand it, people say that I feel like people in the comments and in the Discord say that he's only this angry towards Sasuke because Sasuke and Sakura got together, and that just pissed him off because he wanted Sakura and Naruto to get together. But I don't know, man. That could be fixed with a simple Sakura likes Naruto now. And then boom, you don't have to make him evil and then beat the hell out of him because of it. Then again, we're talking about the crazy whack job that made a 22,000 chapter fan fiction about the Loud House Revamped, where I imagine less than 5% of it is actually Loud House related content. You know, I mean, we're already seeing it. We're living it, aren't we? We have been moving farther and farther away from actual chapter revampings, and it's crazy. Okay, where was I? It is a little weird though, reading this and seeing Naruto and Sasuke not be at each other's throats. Me too, I can't hear. Let me see, says Laney. Laney saw that his curse mark is gone. Your curse mark is gone. Sorry, Sasuke. I'm Laney Loud. I'm the one that killed Orochimaru, says Laney. I'm also the one that probably helped in multiple different evil Sasuke massacres, but let's not think about that. I'm forever grateful to you both. To both of you, Naruto and Laney. To both you and Naruto, Laney. My god. Says Sasuke. Glad we could help out, says Naruto. I did not come to you to fight Itachi. I came to warn you about Kakashi, says Sasuke. What for, Sasuke? Asks Laney. What happened? Asks Naruto. Lady Tsunade came in. So you're Sasuke Uchiha. I've heard a lot about you, says Lady Tsunade. Lady Tsunade, it's truly an honor to meet you, says Sasuke. Same here, says Lady Tsunade. Sasuke was about to tell us some disturbing info about Kakashi sensei, says Naruto. Oh boy, let's hear it. Yes, Kakashi has been a fraud to us from day one. I overheard him talking as he was fighting my brother. He said that he never wanted to train me, you or Sakura. He was using us this whole time, and he was going to kill us when he reached a certain level, just like when he killed his wretched teammate Obito, he said, says Sasuke. They all gasped. I knew something was up with Kakashi. We walked by his hospital room, and I sensed a lot of negative emotions coming from him. Okay, this is probably a Naruto thing that I just don't know, but why is everybody in the hospital? Like, I swear all of these Naruto chapters have them swinging by the hospital, and Sasuke is always in them. So I assume, I don't know, whatever. A lot of negative emotion coming from him, says Naruto. Kakashi is now a monster. But we don't have any proof that he did all that, says Lady Sonata. That's right, milady. We can't act without having any evidence against him, says Naruto. Something I'm sure Team Loud Phoenix Storm will adhere to in the future. When did you become so smart and respectful, Naruto? Asks Sasuke. It was because I had a hindrance seals on me, and Lainey's energy during our fight with Orochimaru broke those seals and unleashed my true self. Let's just say that I that it was a tremendously much-needed improvement, says Naruto. That's incredible, says Sasuke. Sakura came in. Sakura sees Naruto, and she kisses him, and she swoons. I love you, Naruto. Anyways, I agree. I'm so glad you're all right, Sasuke, says Sakura. Me too, Sakura, says Sasuke. Naruto, I heard everything. Is it all true? Is Kakashi-sensei really that dangerous? Asks Sakura. I'm afraid so, Sakura. He's a complete homicidal maniac, says Naruto. Naruto, you look incredible. So, this is your true self? Asks Sakura. Sakura? Sakura? I'm losing my mind. It sure is, but my love for you is completely real. What? You don't say, but my love for you is completely real after saying that something else, some other part of you is real. If she asks like, "Oh, is this your real self?" No, I've been living a lie, but my love for you is real. That's when you say that part. But whatever. Unimportant. Mountains out of molehills. You love me? Asks Sakura. I do. I loved you when those bullies. I saved you from those bullies back when we were kids. I transformed into Sasuke and complimented you on your beautiful forehead. Weird. And I saved you from Gaara's rampage during the invasion. But let me show you, says Naruto. Naruto placed his hand on her forehead and showed her everything through his memories up to where Orochimaru met his end. Sakura was in absolute shock. You did all that for me? She asks. Yes, I did. Orochimaru is gone forever and is no longer a threat to all of us, says Naruto. Sakura had then realized everything about Naruto, and tears welled up in her eyes, and she hugged Naruto and cried hard. Aww, aww. Naruto, I'm so sorry I did all those terrible things to you. To all of you in the academy. I was so wrong about it all. Sorry. I knew you were The one for me, and I was too blind to realize it. I'm so sorry, Naruto, cries Sakura. It's all right, Sakura. I've already forgiven you, says Naruto. Sakura was comforted and she was happy. Good. Thank God. I'm glad that they have to imply that she's happy. Otherwise, I'll have to assume that she's horribly miserable. Anyways, well, I'm happy for both of you. Now we have to figure out what to do about Kakashi, says Lady Sonata. Well, if he's such a danger, why don't you go into his hospital room and kill him? But no, that's too simple. They're gonna like meet up on like the roof of the hospital like that one time. But that was between Naruto and Sasuke, I think. Evil Sasuke. Maybe. I'm sure James has forgotten to put that Sasuke is evil in at least one of the Sasuke hate chapters. I think I have a solution. How about I fight him and get him to confess that way? Asks Lainey. Oh, not enough evidence. Right, not enough evidence to I don't know. What was it that they said? They don't have evidence? We don't have any evidence. We can't act without having any evidence against him. Then what do you call fighting him? Is fighting him not like does that not count as an act? I feel like that's an act, dude. You know? You're acting assuming that he's evil and you intend to get him to say something during a fight. Whatever. Lainey, I hate you. You've been the worst since day one. That's not even true. They're all pretty bad. It's hard to pick just one worst. You don't even know me. I think I have a solution. The old get it out through violence trick. That's brilliant, Laney. That's also a little immoral. May as well waterboard him. All right, Laney Loud, you are about to. Oops. That's brilliant, Laney. All right, Laney Loud, you are to fight Kakashi at Training Ground 7 in 2 hours, says Lady Sunada. Thank you, milady, says Laney. 2 hours later, Laney was standing on Training Ground 7 facing Kakashi Hatake. All the Jonin, Anbu, and Genin were hiding in the bushes and trees. Naruto set up a sound broadcasting ceiling jutsu array that led into a PA system in the training ground, and it was going to play the whole thing. You ready to do this, Kakashi? Asks Laney. As you wish, says Kakashi. I feel like Kakashi is probably smarter than this. I'm pretty sure there's probably a handful of powers in the Naruto universe that would allow him to recognize that there's a bunch of people hiding in the trees. But I'll just have to assume not, since I don't know anything about Naruto. That's not true. I've learned quite a bit through the Loud House Revamped. Oops. I swear to God, every time I take a sip of that goddamn water, it spills. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, it's cold. Okay, we're almost done. As you wish, says Kakashi. Laney spread her wings and flew at Kakashi with blazing speed. She punched him in the face and he blocked it, and Laney kicked him in the side and he blocked that too. No way. Kakashi, I want to know, says Laney, punching him in the chest, something. Why do you not like Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura? She asks. There, she kicks him in the face. Your students, they learned. She punches him in the elbow. From you, right? She asks. Yes. uh, yes, they. Kakashi blocks Laney's punch. Did, but I never wanted to train them ever. He blocks her kick. Those brats are never going to be as good as. He blocks a punch. Me? They will never learn at all. Just like that wretched doofus Obito did when I killed him. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. It worked! Eureka! That was fucking easy! Everyone all over the village gasped when he said that. I never cared about teamwork, camaraderie, or anything like that. All I ever wanted was power and to destroy the entire village for killing my father, says Kakashi. Wasn't your father, Sakumo, a hero? Asks Laney. Yes, he was, but everyone shunned him for abandoning his team. When he killed himself, I vowed to get revenge on the entire village and burn it all to the ground, says Kakashi. You're a monster, Kakashi. I mean, that's not the worst justification. Obviously misled, misguided, and all that bull, but whatever. You're a monster, Kakashi, says Lenny, going Super Angel too. I will never forgive you for everything you've done to the village. Says Laney. Lady Tsunade, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and everyone came out. It's over, Kakashi. We all heard the whole thing, says Lady Tsunade. I heard everything too, says question mark. A hooded figure came out and pulled down the hood, and it was Rin Nohara, and she threw her cloak aside. Rin, you're alive! Exclaims Lady Tsunade. It's good to see you again, Lady Tsunade. I did not die in the Third Great War. I was training away from the village to learn how to master the power of the three-tailed turtle. Cool. Says Ren. You're a Jinchuriki like me, Ren? Asks Naruto. Yes, I was forcibly made one by some Mist Shinobi. I was originally made to be a Trojan horse that would unleash the three tails onto the village when I entered it. So when Kakashi was about to kill me, I put up a genjutsu to make it look like he killed me, and I ran away to master my friend Izobu's power. I met Killer B, the Eight Tails Jinchuriki, and he took me to a place where I could learn how to do it. After 13 long years, I finally did it, and me and Isobu and are now full-fledged partners and best friends. Yay! Says Naruto. Rin suddenly changed, and she had a blue-green flaming trench coat, blue clothes, and a sword of pure water in her hand. Whoa! Says Lainey. Incredible! Her power level is unreal, says Naruto. Like that even means anything anymore. No kidding. It's good to have you back, Rin, says Lady Tsunade. It's good to be home, Lady Tsunade. Now let's take out this piece of traitorous trash uh, that I once called a teammate, says Rin. With pleasure, says Lenny. Lenny flew toward him and punched Kakashi in the face and sent him flying, and Rin kicked him in the back and sent him crashing into the ground. Rin then formed a Rasengan made of pure water, and it made the roaring sound of a mega tsunami. Wait, let me just get something straight. Rin was a Trojan horse who would unleash her Jinchuriki on the village when she entered it. And Kakashi fought her? Right? Uh, uh, so when Kakashi was about to kill me, I don't know. But with my limited knowledge of this, I'm kind of assuming that like Kakashi knew and he was fighting her because she didn't want her. That's just me assuming. I can't know for sure. And I will never know for sure until somebody says otherwise because I don't feel like looking up Naruto lore to understand this better. Where was I? Yes, with pleasure, says Laney. Laney flew towards him and punched Kakashi in the face and sent him flying, and Rin kicked him in the back and sent him crashing into the ground. Rin then formed a Right, I already read all that. My bad. I never want to see you again, Kakashi. This is for Obito. Water style, Mega Tsunami Rasengan, says Rin. Rin hit Kakashi in the back with it, and a huge explosion of water blasted upward and enveloped Kakashi in a huge swirling dome of water. The water chakra was pulverizing him all over his body with numerous strikes that carried the devastating force of a Mega Tsunami wave. With the dome cleared, Kakashi was in a deep crater, bleeding profusely, and bones were sticking out from his arms, chest, legs, head, and even his back. Fantastic. Remember, the good guys. And also, it's so strange that this is supposed to be like child friendly to an extent. They don't say hell, that unforgivable curse. They don't say hell. They say netherworld. But oh yeah, brutal maiming of people, you know, beating them up, making them bleed, having their bones shatter and stick out of their limbs. That's all fair game. I think they've been putting those in kids' picture books recently. Whatever. Whatever. Chest, legs, head, and even his back. They all looked in the crater, and he was a total mess. Lady Tsunade went in and scanned him. He's dead. That technique broke all of his bones in his body, shredded all his muscles until into nothing, and ripped apart all of his organs. Just why? Okay? Imagine if Superman, took out just some guy. What if he took out Zod by laser beaming uh down his throat and melting his organs into a soup before then, twisting him into a pretzel and then tossing him into the sun. Not the sun. I think that's where Superman and I assume other Kryptonians get their power. But what if he did something horrifyingly, just cruel and gruesome like that? All right? It doesn't matter how much he deserves it. Okay? You do not go out of your way to That's just not what heroes do, you monster. If anything, it feels like you're just looking for excuses to do these horrible acts of violence. All right? Stop him. Stop him in any way that you can. You know? You don't have to try and be humane, but there's something so, like, because we all know, right? There's no chance you don't know that you're gonna win this fight fair, like, easily. So why did you have to use the move that envelops him and then rips him apart inside and out? Why you got to use that? Whatever. Stupid, stupid. Oh, so stupid. Holy mackerel, says Nanny. That was unbelievable. Rin just totally mutilated him. Rin's a murderer, says Naruto. So, no kidding, says Sasuke. I saw Kakashi get hit with what looked like small hammers made of water, and they were too numerous to count, says Sakura. The water style Mega Tsunami Rasengan shapes the water chakra into a blizzard of miniature water hammers that packed the tremendous force of numerous mega tsunamis. They hit his body with such tremendous force that it ripped him apart from the outside in, says Lady Tsunade. Our heroes, everyone. Wow, what power, says Lady. Unbelievable. That's like getting hit by a shockwave and exploding by the shockwave of an exploding meteor, says Naruto. Yeah, that is unbelievable power. But I never wanted to see this madman again, says Ren. You want me to burn the body, Lady Tsunade? Asks Sasuke. Please, Sasuke, says Lady Tsunade. Lady Tsunade jumped out of the way and Sasuke went through some hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu. He says Sasuke. Sasuke blew a stream of fire out of his mouth and it hit Kakashi and incinerated him, and his asses blew away in the wind. Good riddance to bad rubbish, says Lainey. Yeah, he was truly an incompetent teacher and homicidal maniac to boot. We've spent more time, you know, villainizing, fighting, and torturing Kakashi here, who maybe was a bad guy who deserved it. But we spent more time on him than we did on what I assume to be the big bad of the Naruto universe, Orochimaru, who did just apparently killed children and all that. But what did Orochimaru get? He got a couple hits in the face and the stomach and stuff like that. Maybe a light burning, and then trapped in a tree. Meanwhile, yeah, let's throw Kakashi into the water ball with the millions of super hammers that'll break his bones and body and melt him from the inside out. Just fucking whatever. Okay. Yeah, he can join his father in the netherworld, says Sasuke. In the netherworld. He's joining his father in the netherworld. I thought his father was a hero who got ostracized and then killed himself. Unless, of course, this is that, like, religious thing where, like, if you kill yourself, you're going to hell. Whatever. Good riddance, says Sakura. Lainey later explained that she was from another dimension, and she told Rin that the Kakashi she knows is not like the Kakashi they fought. Fantastic. I merged everyone's counterparts with their counterparts in our dimension, except for the adult Rin, and the exercise ended. Kakashi and the adult Rin are now dating. What? That's so no, they aren't. Kakashi and the adult Rin are now dating, and it was romantic for them. We were all so proud of Lainey. No, they don't. Okay, you do not take Rin. I don't know if evil Kakashi or good Kakashi is the canon Kakashi from the actual show, but the fact is, you do not take Rin, an adult Rin, um, from the universe where Kakashi was this evil guy who tried to kill her, and then pair her with good Kakashi. Because even though good Kakashi is a good Kakashi, and he probably won't try to kill Rin anytime soon, fact is, there's this little thing called trauma, James, and I don't think you understand it. I don't even know if you can spell it, for Christ's sake, but it's called trauma, and people do not. I mean, maybe it's like really bad trauma. You know how people get with their abusers over and over again? Maybe it's something like that. So maybe James is actually very, very smart, but I don't know. Whatever. Wait, wait a minute. 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 I just hold on. I never want to see you again, Kakashi. That's what Rin said. That's what Rin said. And then later she says, I never want to see this madman again. Anyways, wow, Kakashi, you sure are attractive. Hey, let's get together, stupid. So stupid. The end. Another fanfiction completed. I originally wanted to do an evil Sasuke chapter. oh, oh, you should have. We've been. Oh, it's a real evil Sasuke drought over here. Okay, but I figured Kakashi would suit this one. I've read a lot of fanfics where Kakashi doesn't train Naruto and Sakura and focuses only on Sasuke. So I'm not just a diehard Sasuke hater. I'm also a Kakashi basher sometimes. Well, at least he admits it. The reason for this is because of his laziness and his incompetence. Let me know what you all think. Just wonderful. I hated it. See you next time. Not just a diehard Sasuke hater. You think he's gonna like defend himself, justify it, something like that. But no, he says he's also a Kakashi basher sometimes. At least he's honest. Okay, whatever. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got one more audiobook until chapter 100, and then after that we'll be doing the 50 chapter quiz. Uh, so yeah, look forward to that if you want. Did I say like and subscribe? Probably. Probably. See you next time. Oh, right. No, not yet. Maybe there's going to be, I'm still thinking about it, but maybe there's going to be a. I already brought this up, didn't I? I'll say it again. There is going to probably be, maybe, no, don't say probably, maybe. All right. It's still a decision that has yet to be made. But for the last audiobook, 98 to 100, I have been thinking, because, some people on the Discord said, wouldn't it be cool if you did a live reading of chapter 100? And like, I assumed it would be like in the Discord's VC, which, uh, which it would probably work. But the thing is, um, if everyone's talking, right? Because the options are let people talk or let people don't talk. But if people are talking, it probably just messes with the whole feng shui of it. Not to mention, if I want to use that reading as the audio for the audiobook, it's going to have a bunch of people talking in it. But then there's also the whole thing of like not letting people talk, which is also not great because, what's the point of a live reading if nobody can like give their 2 cents? So I'm thinking maybe of doing a YouTube live, you know, just stream it live on YouTube, the 99 through 100, 98 through 100. Because that way I can at least read chat, I assume. I've never streamed before, so it'll be a new experience. But yeah, let me know what you think. And yeah, goodbye.